back with more Heartstopper. This is episode 5 of season 2. Very excited to carry on and see what's going to be happening in the second half of the season. I'm hoping to finish the season today, just get all these recorded. In terms of like uploads and stuff, who knows? But I'm gonna try and bash through all of these. It's currently Sunday. I haven't been able to watch any in a couple of days, so I've been really like just want to watch the rest. I want to see what happens. So yeah, hopefully I will at least watch all the season today, because I really don't know when I'm next going to get a chance to, because obviously I'm back at work next week, so it'll probably be a good 3 or 4 days before I could watch any more. So the plan is to just, at least for me, get all these watched so there aren't any spoilers and stuff going around. But yeah, we ended off on a bit of a cliffhanger with Charlie discovering a hickey. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a cover-up job, potentially, or, you know, people are going to ask questions about that, obviously. Kids being kids. I mean, I suppose adults would ask questions about that as well. So yes, another kind of big twist in the tale, I guess, of the Paris trip. And that's amongst all this other stuff that's going down already, that's been set up for this first half of the season. But I'm really enjoying, you know, the maturity of the season so far. How it feels quite like an ensemble bit, but, you know, Nick and Charlie are still getting plenty of time kind of developing that relationship further. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying it, so I'm excited to carry on. And let's just dive into the next episode. Ah.
Oh my god. But no one knows you.
But they will ask who it was.
I didn't mean to. I really enjoyed it. We will be having words.
I love that he's like a dad.
We're going for breakfast. Help me!
Isaac just like years.
Who gave you that hickey?
Oh my god!
Not hungry. Not really. Okay, well, I'll pack you a croissant.
Wholesome.
You're the best. Something to be proud about, isn't it? Getting some action.
Like you'd know, Harry.
It wasn't me. I mean, obviously you know it wasn't me.
Oh, see, it sucks that it drags just all these innocent people into the mess. Not innocent, Benjamin. Mr. Farouk just kills me.
Now we'll be putting you in pairs and giving you some Eiffel Tower vocabulary to translate before you start your climb.
Oh no.
Charlie Spring and James McEwen.
God.
It's a date.
Oh, you're a dick.
Nick Nelson and Ben Hope.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Honestly.
Sir, I don't want to go with Nick Nelson.
I don't give a rat sauce, rude boy. Grow up.
I don't take French, but I know that's wrong.
Uh-huh.
Would you ever stop and think how you're actually making people feel?
We'll leave it out, but
So stupid everybody thinks it was me. Okay.
At least Isaac's trying.
Do you think Isaac thinks it was me?
he knows it wasn't you.
Okay. It wasn't him, was that?
Remember when we were walking into Truro? No, not really.
It's your mission to, like, mess up my life.
You never cared about either of them.
What if I said I want Charlie back?
Good fucking luck.
Charlie didn't even give me a chance to figure myself out, and then you came along and you stole him from me.
He doesn't need to give you a chance. Oh, they're so sweet. Oh, Imogen. Oh no. Fighting for her life.
I need to get a selfie from my mum. Okay.
Aw.
Is that hickey from you then? What if it was? You jealous?
Yes, bite back.
I'm not gay. Leave him alone, lads. Come.
Feeling right, Harry?
Did Harry just stick up for us? I think he did. Weird.
He must be ill.
Still it up like I always do with everything.
You don't mess things up. Name one thing you've messed up.
The cinema day, my art coursework, your life multiple times.
Oh.
I'm basically the reason you got outed last year. I was talking about you with Isaac. Someone overheard, and next thing we know,
Oh,
you get
man.
bullied every single day.
We've been friends since the first day of year 7.
Hey, Untel.
Aww.
Cool. Do you like Radiohead?
Even if you make mistakes sometimes, you're a good person who deserves love.
Wait, isn't that for you and Nick?
Aww, that's so sweet. I love their friendship.
You gave me this hickey if you keep this up.
So, I helped to deflect the rumours.
We need to get to the Louvre.
Thought she meant the toilet then. I was like, oh.
I know.
Then I realised what she said. Oh, Charlie's just like the best friend.
That's the Mona Lisa. That's it. It's art. You don't always need to understand it to enjoy it.
It's true.
It's what feels kind of romantic. You don't have to understand your feelings completely to know that you like something. You don't have to always have figured everything out. You can just feel.
Yes. And you know what you feel.
I should probably tell you, when we were on the Eiffel Tower, he said that he still liked you. Like, he genuinely thinks that he still has a chance of getting back with you. He doesn't.
Oh god, he hasn't eaten or anything.
What are you lot?
And it's like boiling hot.
Oh, your mum texts you? Wow, okay. How come I've never even met your parents? I don't know. Come on. Why do you always do that? Why do you always avoid the issue? You said you didn't mean it like that. You know I did. You know I do.
Charlie, I don't feel
Somebody get Mr. Farouk!
Oh shit.
It makes me want to draw.
You should. I love watching you draw.
The way he looks at her, man. I'd say get a room, but they've got a room.
They should make more movies in the Louvre. I can only think of the Da Vinci Code, and you would literally have to tie me to a chair if you wanted me to watch that actual monstrosity.
Yes!
I'm so sorry. Let's just forget that happened.
Yes!
I don't know how to do this.
Who knows?
Work it out later. Oh, I love them. Like, just gets me kind of choked up, like, just thinking about how much this is going to mean to people. It's like, oh.
I don't see it. Stand in front of it, I'll show you. Come on.
Oh, God.
You okay? Yeah, just really embarrassed.
Found them! Charlie, you alright? We'll let you chill out a bit.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh.
I've noticed you don't really eat a lot. Generally.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Don't apologise.
You have nothing to be sorry about. I want to understand.
Some days I'm fine, but other days I feel like I need to control it. I used to do it a lot last year, and everything at school was really bad.
It's something he could control when everything else was crazy, wasn't it?
Sometimes it feels like the only thing I can control in my life.
Yeah.
If there's anything that I can do to make things less stressful, I'm your boyfriend, Charlie. And I really care about you.
Nearly said it.
It's a bit dry. You are not rejecting the croissant that I have lovingly carried for you all day.
Oh, what a great scene.
Je suis au Louvre. You can voir cette semaine.
I don't think Charlie knew, did he?
Wait, do you like the fact that I speak French?
I would say so.
It's cool.
Charlie! Mon amour.
Oh my god, you're so
You're blushing.
Oh.
Non, pas de ça ici.
I think that was the director. I only know because the guy who directs this directed a lot of Doctor Who, I think, back in the day. So I'm kind of familiar with... I think his name's Euros?
He's not really a big part of my life anymore. Since he lives here and he's not the most reliable.
Mm.
I had this idea that I might introduce you to him.
How about we promise to tell each other when we've got stuff going on?
Yes. I like that. Ugh, I just love them. Would actually die for them.
I said I'd meet him in a cafe in 20 minutes.
Oh, damn. Look at them holding hands in Paris. Okay, this might just become like a pattern that I keep saying episode by episode, but that was my favourite episode so far, I think. I mean, just season 2 really is just hitting all the right notes, I think. I think this is definitely shaping up to be even stronger than season 1 was. You know, I think as the story and the characters are evolving so much, but there's still so much heart to it, like season 1 had. I think that's what made season 1 so special. It really felt like a labour of love, and like everyone involved in it was like so passionate about making it. That just translated so well, and that's definitely still the case with season 2. And I think they have the added vigour going into season 2 of that everyone loved the first season, so they don't have to worry about are people going to like this or stuff like that. They know people do, so they can really kind of go for it even further, I guess. And that's really coming across. So yeah, just the basis, of course, of Alice's story that they told, and are still telling. You know, that's strong enough as it is, but you know, kind of bringing it to life like this with such an amazing cast. You know, doing like location filming for Paris and just all the little details. It really is such an impressive production, I think, just from, you know, from a production standpoint as well. It's just a really incredible thing. And yeah, there's just so much going on in this one. I feel like I'm going to forget some really important stuff just because there's so many like little bits and pieces that were really good. Yeah, just so well paced, this show. Genuinely so impressive. How much they can squeeze into like a half an hour episode, and yet it doesn't feel rushed at all. It's genuinely so impressive. Like all the writers in the writers' room are clearly very talented. So where to begin, really? I don't even know. I'm just going to go through my list. So we'll just start with Nick and Charlie first. I normally leave them till near the end, but they had so many moments kind of separately and together in this one, I felt. You know, I loved the little bit with Nick and Elle, because that, again, that's not a pairing that they delve into too much. So to see them kind of get along, and I think he kind of unknowingly really encouraged Elle to, you know, I guess, make another move with TAO. You know, he kind of started things back off to them reconciling with the apple juice in the last episode, and now she can kind of take him on that tour of the Louvre. And they really felt the Louvre, am I right? That was terrible. So that was a lovely little moment as well. And even just something little as like just Nick talking to Isaac. You know, the focus was on Charlie, but Nick was like walking with Isaac in the background and stuff, and it's very wholesome. But he's really settled in with like Charlie's friends so well. So little things like that I love. And the Charlie and TAO scene when, you know, Charlie wrote their names on that lock on the bridge. That was one of my favourite scenes of the episode. Such a great kind of display of their friendship, and I loved TAO kind of opening up like maybe he was the reason Charlie did get outed the previous year. And imagine how guilty he's felt carrying all that time. I think that would probably be retroactively. I think that also explains maybe a lot of like his very outbursty, quick to anger behaviour in season 1, and kind of that resentment towards Nick he felt. Because I think a lot of that actually was just his own guilt, and I'm almost kind of the cause of, you know, he considers it his fault that Charlie was going through all this pain in the first place. So when he sees someone else that he thinks might be hurting Charlie, obviously he didn't know Nick was genuine at the time, that's going to make him even more kind of like shifting the blame, I guess, so he doesn't feel as bad about himself. So I like that, you know, they're really showing more and more of how TAO works, and I like that they're kind of taking the time to organically show us that. So that was really great. I love that scene so much, and the fact that Charlie, you know, was telling TAO how much he deserves love as well, and if he makes mistakes, it doesn't make you a bad person, which is absolutely true, because who doesn't make mistakes? And there's still plenty of good people in the world. And I think that's something Heartstopper particularly champions, which is obviously why it's such a great, wholesome show. And then Charlie writing their names on the lock, and kind of putting that on, because that's kind of that unbreakable bond is just so sweet. You know, I really think Charlie and TAO are like the best friends you could ask for. As Nick was talking about TAO in the last episode, you know, TAO is so loud in his love and care for people, to the extent where it might get him in trouble sometimes, and it might make people kind of react badly to him. But he does do it so strongly, and I think, you know, I think Charlie's affection for people, I guess, is more subdued in the way that he has to currently kind of keep that hidden, because obviously Nick's not out to everyone yet. He's also just a very kind of, he feels stuff so intimately, and I think TAO was very outwardly with that kind of affection. I mean, you just see the way he was opening, like staring at Elle in this, and all the moments he's like tried to steal glances at her, found she's looking at him, he's like, oh shit. So there's a lot of that, and I think that just, it means they gel together so well, because I think there's a great balance there with their friendship. And because I think they're so different in the way they kind of share their love and, you know, kind of negotiate the love they have for themselves as well, they can convince each other of, you know, the fact that they both deserve happiness in their own way. So I think they really can kind of cut through to each other's hearts so brilliantly, just because they're kind of different in the way they show affection. And that's just so great. And even then when they hugged and Charlie's like, you know, I don't want rumours to spread that now it might have been you who gave me the hickey, and TAO's just like, well, it will, you know, get the rumours away from people like Nick and stuff, and so even he's coming round to Nick, and, you know, he's just such a good friend, and Charlie's an amazing friend as well. So I love that in a show with so many strong romances, and obviously that's kind of the focus for sure, are, you know, the love stories that are going on. There's so many really great just little friendships in there as well that I think are almost treated as love stories in their own right, because friendships are love stories too, just obviously platonic ones. And I love that Heartstopper showcases that, and kind of treats them just as importantly as their romances, because they are just as important. So that was a brilliant example of that, the Charlie and TAO scene. Definitely one of my favourite scenes of the episode for sure. Tara and Darcy, you know, they're kind of, I guess there isn't progression on that just yet, but I did like that Tara's like, right, why are you doing this? You know, she's trying to start that conversation to maybe try and make some progress. Darcy's still, you know, just deflecting, as she's always seemed to do. And we get a bit of insight into the relationship, the fact that, you know, Tara's never met Darcy's parents or gone to her house or anything. Darcy very quick to just, you know, see what her mum had sent her text-wise, and then just completely dismissed it afterwards. So, you know, there is stuff Darcy's clearly holding back and very uncomfortable and insecure about, and I'm hoping that's something that they delve into fairly soon as well. But yeah, I like that they're continuing to kind of build on that and reminding us every episode, like, this is going on with these two as well, so just so we're always aware of it for when I'm sure it will get addressed in the next couple of episodes. So I'm glad that there's still a bit of focus to their relationship as well and what's going on with that. And Tara, you know, she confirmed her I love you rather than said it again in this episode, being like, you know I meant it. And maybe it's just another kind of recurring thing of maybe Darcy feeling like she doesn't deserve that love, as, you know, Charlie and TAO and stuff have often been seen to show they don't think they deserve the love that they get. It might be a similar thing for Darcy, because I do think kind of has talked about before how her kind of whole, you know, outspokenness, her outlandish personality, I think, is a mask and kind of a defense mechanism for her. And I think that could easily be something that they're delving into as well, like just some other similarities to maybe characters like Charlie or Tao, which is again why I think this whole group of people just blends and works together so well. You know, just like the group shots of them all taking like selfies together on the Eiffel Tower and everything, like it's just such a great cast. Everyone has chemistry with everyone, and I think that really does sell it as well. You know, the show could have easily, if the actors didn't have the chemistry that they do, you know, I think the show could have easily fallen so flat. But you know, all the couples really do work well together, and you know, I think obviously Nick and Charlie are like the main couple of the show, and they are kind of the glue that holds all the other characters together. So to see that Kit and Joe get along so well and have such great chemistry, it really comes through, particularly those last few scenes with them in this episode, when they're just on their own together. You know, it really does shine through. And I think Will and Yasmin have amazing chemistry as well. And speaking of them, should we just talk about Tao and Elle now? Because it's nice to have a proper positive development for a couple, because they've obviously had a lot of ups and downs this season. And I did like that as soon as Charlie's like trying to convince Tao, you are worthy of love, he finally kind of gets it. And you know, Charlie was kind of instilling that attitude, I think, in Tao, so he can kind of act positively on it in this episode. Then we had that little bit with Nick and Elle when they're talking about art, and you don't need to have things, you know, figured out just yet. You know, you don't have to know for sure what something is, but if you feel it, you know, that's a good start. And kind of pushing Elle towards like a positive mindset to approach their relationship again. So I like that. I think they both unknowingly actually helped Tao and Elle really come together in this episode. And yeah, they just have great chemistry together as well. I love them just, you know, living off the vibes of being in the Louvre, and obviously Elle's in her element because her element, because you know, this is kind of what she wants to do. This is something she's so passionate about. And Tao's there as well, which is the other thing she's super passionate about. So I like that kind of all came together. And, you know, Tao is just so good at, like, encouraging Elle to do everything she wants and everything she loves. You know, that, oh, you should draw. You know, I love watching you draw. You know, just that positive reaffirmment and that positive reinforcement he gives her is just so lovely. And, you know, I like that he's championing her passions in this one about all the art and drawing and everything. And when he's then talking about they should set more movies here, and you know, obviously he's kind of very passionate about cinema, and Elle's kind of championing that in him, because that was kind of what got her to just like impulsively kiss him. So you know, I just love that they're so passionate about each other's passions, and I think that's why, you know, that dynamic works so well. And why they're so sweet together. So to finally get a kiss from them is very, very wholesome. And yeah, I'm hoping that's going to be, you know, the tentative steps to something official between those two now. I know, I think it would probably be a bit railroady for the story to kind of try and backtrack from that big moment now. But that was an amazing kind of scene between those two. You know, they've built up, I think, the romantic tension between those two so well. So it's kind of like the middle of season 1, really, wasn't it, when they were kind of starting to push more forward the idea of Tao and Elle getting together. So I think they've done a really nice kind of slow burn with that until now, and then obviously like their not quite so successful date in episode 3, starting to reconnect a bit in the last episode, and then you know, it's not like everything's resolved, problem solved, you know, because there's still the kind of idea like Elle might still move away and go to the school. You know, what are they going to do about that? Would they do a long distance relationship? Would they just take a break from each other there? You know, so it's not like this is the happy ever after and like, hooray, they've got things worked out. But it's the idea of like, even if you haven't worked everything out yet and you don't know what the future might hold, how you feel right now is still important and valid. And that's what they're acting on. So why wouldn't you, in that moment, if there's ever a chance to be happy, why wouldn't you take it? Which I know is advice I don't follow, so I'm being a bit of a hypocrite here. But yeah, it was great to kind of see them take that chance. It's just so wholesome. and just I think the representation as well of just that relationship between like a man and a trans woman, you don't see that, and it's so cool that, you know, it's not just a thing that's happening in a really popular show. It's front and center. It's one of the main couples in the show, and the chemistry is insane between the two of them. It works so well, and that's going to mean so much to so many people who are watching that relationship play out, because everyone can have that love story, no matter like who they are, how they identify, anything like that, where they're from. So it was really just cool getting that, you know, a kind of a relationship that's being portrayed and rightly romanticized, just as like Nick and Charlie's relationship is, you know, Tara and Darcy's relationship is. You know, I think of that scene with Tara and Darcy when Nick's watching like Tara and Darcy kiss in the party in season 1. You know, that kind of big moment for Tara and Darcy's relationship. You know, I love how Heartstopper just champions all these different kinds of relationships. So it was a great moment. I love TAO and ELLE together so much. They low-key might be my favourite couple this season. I mean, as much as I adore the other ones as well. There's something in particular about their story that I've really loved this season. And yeah, obviously Will and Yasmin do an amazing job with their characters, and I think they work so well together. So it's great to kind of see a big positive step forward for TAO and ELLE. Hopefully there aren't going to be too many obstacles in their way in future. There's still a lot to work out, but they're just acting on how they feel right now, which I think is, you know, a very valid thing to do, especially when you're that young. You know, you're going to be impulsive like that. So that's great, and I can't wait to see more of that relationship and what's going to happen with it. What else do we have? I feel like these were kind of like the main focuses of the episode. We did have a bit with like obviously the hickey and stuff, and the tension that came with that. Let's just talk about, I guess, Charlie's main little story as well, with the whole eating thing. You know, I remember that being like the big kind of story point that I expected from season 2, having read forward a bit in the graphic novels and stuff. And yeah, it was, they've kind of done it so well in like the setting up of it. And once I read that, you know, those bits in the comics when Charlie's kind of going through that and opening up to Nick about this eating disorder and stuff, which was a lovely scene as well. And I love that Nick again is just, I think he handled it so brilliantly. You know, just kind of reminding them you do have a support network here. He's not like shoving that food down Charlie's throat, being like, you have to eat. He's just, in a very Nick way, he's kind of, you can't just, I've lovingly carried that croissant for you all day, you can't just deny that. And obviously the teachers brought him some food as well, which he took a bite out of as well. It's just lightly encouraging him, and the promise they made to each other that, you know, if they've got stuff going on, they open up to each other about it. Nick nearly saying I love you as well. We noticed that. So hopefully that'll be, maybe that's something for the end of the season, maybe, or season 3 and beyond. I can't remember. But we'll see. But yeah, again, a really important issue of like eating disorders and stuff. The fact that they're kind of highlighting that, and Joe, I think, is doing such a great job of carrying such an important story on his shoulders. That was really great. But yeah, what I was talking about before, I always get so distracted talking about this. You know, when I kind of read about Charlie's storyline with his eating disorder and everything, and his history with it in the comic, then rewatching some bits from season 1, I was like, they really did, you know, they really were setting this up right from season 1. Particularly, there's a scene in the finale where Charlie kind of breaks down in front of Tori, and Tori's trying to comfort him and stuff, and she's like, you know, do you want money to make us a pizza or something, or should we get a pizza? And Charlie's like, I'm not hungry. So they're even setting things up in season 1 to kind of bleed into this. So, you know, I love how well and lovingly thought out the stories, even though the story itself is obviously just an awful thing for someone to have to go through. I love that, you know, the show is brave enough to tackle those kind of issues. And, you know, again, that's going to mean the world to some people, that a character as, I think, beloved and rightfully beloved as Charlie is, and as Joe is, to see someone kind of portraying that, you know, I imagine that would mean a lot to them as well. So it's very wholesome to think about how many people I think will benefit or will recognise in themselves like, oh, I do that. Maybe that's something I need to kind of speak to someone about. You know, it's going to help a lot of people that they do that. And, you know, the fact that Nick made it very clear Charlie doesn't have to apologise for having like an eating disorder or kind of having this kind of stuff going on. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of speculating, like, it was the only thing in his life he could control at the time when everything was kind of going wrong, and then Charlie outright just said that afterwards. So, you know, it's incredibly sad that he, you know, he felt like that he had to control something in his life in such a way, and I can't imagine people, you know, imagine how Tao would feel when he finds out about, you know, what's going on with Charlie. He might feel super responsible for that, if he also still feels like he's the reason, you know, Charlie was outed. But hopefully Charlie has done enough to convince him so that there's not even more guilt being felt there. But yeah, kind of setting it up for the reveal in this one, you know, the fact that, is it Mr. J, I think? It's kind of saying like, it's really hot today, you know, be careful taking the stairs and everything. And obviously that's because Charlie hadn't eaten, that was setting him off and stuff like that. So as soon as he kind of fainted, just the care and affection all the other people had for him, and, you know, Nick and Darcy and all that kind of staying by him, and the teachers having a nice moment with him as well. I loved Mr. Farouk just like fist bumping him. That was so wholesome. I love Mr. Farouk. He's just come out of nowhere this season and just kind of stolen every scene he's in. I just find him so funny. There's something about the actor. He does it so well. And yeah, just the dynamic between the two teachers I think is really fun. Yeah, I mean, they had a little moment again when one of them, you know, Mr. J was taking a photo of Mr. Farouk, being like, oh, you look like this guy. So there's little bits and pieces there. And when Mr. Farouk did fist bump Charlie, if you watch Mr. J, he could not take his eyes off Mr. Farouk in that scene. So, you know, I think they're kind of setting the stage for maybe something between those two as well. So yeah, I you know, it's very important that they're doing this story for Charlie as well. I think Joe is proving more and more with each passing episode just how capable he is of kind of tackling this story. Because, you know, I know Kit's acting rightfully got a lot of attention in season 1, and, you know, the scene with him at the end of the season with Olivia Colman and stuff. There's so much there, but you know, the subtlety in Joe's performance as well has really been bloody impressive. Considering this is like his first professional job, he's this good already in his first professional job. Imagine how amazing he's going to be in like 10 years' time. It's going to be insane, and I can't wait to watch all of their careers in this show just expand and grow from here. So, you know, it has been very wholesome kind of seeing that, and seeing, you know, Joe's going to be in a Marvel Disney Plus show, which is insane, and I can't wait for that. You know, Kit's in like a film. Is it a film based on a book or something? Like, I remember seeing a lot about that that he filmed recently. So, you know, he's everywhere, and all these photo shoots with all of them. And, you know, Yaz is going to be in Doctor Who in the 6th anniversary specials, which is incredibly exciting. I can't wait to see her in those. And I know, you know, Will's band with his sister, I think, is doing really well. So just seeing everyone kind of explode from this, very, very wholesome, and so well deserved that they're all part of this as well. So yeah, I am intrigued and nervous, I think, about where Charlie's story might go from here, because again, he was saying, you know, I have good days, I have bad days, and just because he's told someone about it, and, you know, they promised, like, oh, you know, Nick's going to be there for Charlie, and he will do his absolute best to be there for Charlie and support him through any bad days. It doesn't mean there aren't going to be plenty of them, and you know, this isn't like, oh, Charlie's, you know, he's doesn't need to do this anymore now, it's fine. You know, it's still going to be an ongoing issue for him, and I'm sure the show won't shy away from that either. So yeah, I'm nervous about that, because obviously I think it's going to be probably quite a sad story at times, but, you know, it is nice to know that it's in very good hands with, like, the writers of Heartstopper, and, you know, in Joe's acting as well. What else should we talk about? Little background stuff, I guess, with, like, James and Isaac a bit. James was quite concerned that Isaac thought he gave Charlie the hickey, because everyone just assumed it was James, because I think he's the only other out gay person in the school currently. and more on the trip. So, you know, there's still... Obviously, James is obviously very clearly into Isaac, and I think it's going to be talked about what Isaac's story might be and where that's going anyway. And I think that's something that will be explored, maybe when James kind of puts himself out there a bit. But you know, that was a nice little background bit. Harry had one moment of him being like, leave those guys alone, come on. He just decided for 5 seconds not to be a dickhead. I'm assuming he was lightheaded. I'm assuming the heat also got to him, or maybe he's coming down with something. Because, you know, just decided not to be an arsehole for a minute. Hopefully, what Isaac said to him in that little scene, like, you know, do not have any human empathy and stuff. You know, Harry was kind of laughing off, like, but maybe Isaac's words did kind of cut through to him a little bit. So hopefully that's the start of a change in Harry. Otherwise, I would have to eat him off the top of the Eiffel Tower, I'm afraid. Sorry about it, Harry. Actually, I'm not sorry about it at all. But, you know, at least a little moment there was something. You know, it doesn't be like, oh, congratulations, you're not a dickhead. You know, I'm not going to be, you know, not going to be championing him, not going to like put on a Harry parade just because, you know, he was not as much of an arsehole as he normally is for once. But still, it's something. So, hooray. And then Imogen just had a few vibes in this episode. You know, she didn't have as many moments. But I did like that she was hanging out with the others a bit more, and hopefully she'll get more integrated into the gang. And then Ben, I feel like the kind of... I mean, it almost felt like a conclusion with Ben at the end of season 1 when they had that race, and, you know, Charlie was like, he really kind of called Ben out a bit, like, you know, you're not part of my life, you can't control me anymore. But I think there's still more, I guess they are exploring like Ben's side of it, and that scene between Ben and Nick when Ben was, again, being a dickhead, a bit manipulative, and, you know, kind of trying to call Nick out for stuff that isn't really his fault. And I did like Nick kind of reading Ben for filth about how he felt about Charlie and Imogen, but apparently Ben does still like Charlie a bit. And they have, I guess, demonstrated that in the last few episodes. He does seem to hold a candle for Charlie still. So maybe there is like genuine feelings there now. And maybe he is less of an arsehole now. I mean, based on the last episode and how he treated Imogen, probably not. But there seems to be, you know, a bit of a side story there about Ben still wanting Charlie. So that's going to be a thing, I'm sure. But, you know, we know it's not going to be too much of a threat to Nick and Charlie, obviously. I mean, Charlie said as much, you know, there's no chance that that's going to happen. And I like that Nick actually told Charlie about that. Said, oh, by the way, Ben says he still likes you. You know, he could have easily not said anything. You know, if the positions were swapped, Ben wouldn't have told him that Nick still liked Charlie. So, you know, that's testament to Nick's character, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll see how that all unfolds. But, yeah, the damage has been done as far as I'm concerned with Ben. So, we'll see where it kind of goes from here. But, you know, it does make me laugh that no one hates Ben more than Sebastian, who plays him. I do find that very funny, because why would you like Ben? So, yeah, really, really interesting stuff going on. A really fantastic episode. So many amazing moments, not just for the couples, but for some friendships as well. I'm loving how the story's progressing. Very intrigued to meet Nick's dad. I'm assuming that's what's going to be happening in the next one. Because that's kind of been just a background thing for quite a while. So just as we have Nick kind of supporting Charlie about his eating disorder, in return, I think Charlie's now going to be there for Nick when they meet his dad. I'm very nervous about how that's going to go. I can't remember how it went in the comic. If it happened in the comic, I feel like it did, but I can't remember. So I really don't know what to expect from it, so that's going to be exciting. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I adored this episode. I do think this is my favourite of the season so far. Yeah, season 2 has just been incredibly strong, and I can't wait to see where all these stories go next. So yeah, that's going to be everything for now. I've talked for far too long, so until my next reaction, thanks for watching.